Right, welcome to my YouTube channel, and we are here for a brand new season of FPL. Except this time, you will have weekly videos from me, and in pre-season, you're going to have a video every single day. So please do consider subscribing. I'm going to get right into the video. The reason there is no introduction screen is because I've had some teething problems with equipment, right? So for example, there is a little bit of a green screen tinge behind me. There is a few little problems in terms of the audio, and I understand that. From tomorrow, it'll be all sorted. The lights are behind me, the boom arm's behind me, everything's behind me. I just need to get it set up. However, I didn't want to wait a day to get a video out. So if you could excuse the problems for today, I assure you the quality will be top-notch from tomorrow. However, the content and the analysis is all still the same. Right. The reason I've laid the team reveal out like this and shown you everything in one go, as opposed to going section by section, is because we know that each individual player that we select has such a big domino effect on the rest of the team. For example, we've got Haaland here, right? And he blocks me from having Trent. So there's no point just to discussing the defense because the attack has had an implication on who I've selected. Thus, I think it makes more sense to go through everyone together, especially when we've selected two players from the same team, and go about it from that perspective and go about it from a more macro level perspective and in terms of the fixtures as well. So we will start at the back. And whilst I have got Sells here for a good opening run for Nottingham Forest, I am tempted to already switch him to Robert Sanchez. I think he's going to get the nod over Petrovic, simply due to the fact that he's better with his feet, and Petrovic had some real problems with that last season. And Chelsea have got a very good opening run that extends from game week 2 to around game week 8, 9, which obviously will see us come into our second international break. So I think between him and Sells, those are probably the two good options, and I don't really want to go past the 4.5 price region. I think with Haaland being at 15, it's very difficult to have a really good squad structure in terms of the prices elsewhere, so you want to save money where you can. Speaking about saving money, I really like this defense. Ponsa, Burn, and Robinson actually rotate quite nicely up till about game week 6, and then I can just simply look to make one transfer, assess what's been going on, and take things from there. Robinson, Burn, and Konsa also all have a good upside. Burn, at his height, is naturally a big threat from set pieces. Konsa, if he is to play right back, is pretty decent in the final third, and he's also a good aerial threat from set pieces as well. Now, Robinson has a lot of similarities to that of a very, very successful Premier League left back in Andrew Robertson. They both have a similar-ish physical profile. They both are good in the final third. They both have a good left-footed cross on them. And I think FPL have maybe made a mistake here where they haven't done so previously. And the fact that he's 4.5 and so is Castagna, I think they've underpriced him just a little bit. I think he should be a little bit higher. I think he should be at 5 million, given the threat he's got going forward. And if Fulham are willing to spend the money that is being discussed on Emil Smith-Rowe, then maybe they'll strengthen in the holding midfielder department, and they really need to after Paulinho is left. So I think I'll definitely keep an eye on them pre-season, see how they're doing, and that could potentially be a really nice bargain and a good route into some potential upside. So between them, I think you get good ceilings and you get good fixtures. They're a great rotation, playing 2 each week, first 6 to 7. From there, we've got Josko Gvardiol. Now, City's fixture run to open the season is pretty good, right? I think we've got after Chelsea, we've got a good run. And the reason that I really like him is because if Pep is to persist with his formation of essentially playing him as a hybrid left back / mid / left winger, which is not something we've really seen in world football at all, well, he's going to arrive in the box a lot, and getting those shots on target is even more beneficial for assets because of the change in the bonus system. But also, every time a player concedes a goal, that's a defender or a goalkeeper, it's -4 on the BPS, and City don't really concede too many. So he'll be really good for the bonus point system. He'll be really good in terms of clean sheets. And as we saw to the back end of last season, this man has goals in him, because not only is he playing in a brilliant side, but he is genuine quality. On the ball, this man is genuine quality. And the fact that Pep even trusts him to play at left mid is, well, a great example of his quality. So from there, I think at 6 million, probably 0.5 underpriced. I think he should be 1 million more than the rest of the City, because none of them have the attacking upside that he does. I would definitely consider going for him. Now, the one player who's been admitted from the side that I really like and would really want to have in my team is Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's just very difficult to get him in. Now, there'll be a video coming out from myself shortly regarding whether we should be buying Erling Haaland. But for me, off first, second, and third glance, I think it makes sense to have him. I think he provides really good value. So with that in mind, and the fact that I've got Salah, as you can see, the fact that I've got Guardiola, very difficult for me to fit in a 7 million defender. I'd probably have to forego Guardiola and weaken elsewhere. And I'm probably at my limit in terms of how weak, from a price point structure, my midfield is. Obviously, I've got one premium and everyone else at 6.5 or 7. So for me, that's the one sacrifice I'm making with this team, no Trent. And I think he'll be a brilliant option. And we'll come on to him, I'm sure, in another video. But for now, I think he's a great option. He's just someone I have to forego. So I'm not going to have him. Then I definitely want at least one premium defender with good upside in the form of Hosko. Also, the other thing is I'm going to see how the system plays out with Arne Slot. I think it'll be really interesting. I actually think Trent's going to do really well. So maybe I'll try and find a way to get him back into my team. Who knows, maybe even a 4-4-2. But for now, I'm quite happy with this. Okay, moving on to the rest of the team. We were speaking about Haaland, so we'll continue to do so. A full summer's break, which I think would be really nice for him because we've known he's had injury struggles, right? And I think that'll be a really nice time for him just to rest and come back. A fantastic fixture run after Chelsea. And even with Chelsea, I think it's going to go well for us. I myself am a Chelsea fan, but we haven't seen anything from pre-season as of late to really suggest one way or another. So for me now, I think he's a lock. I also think Pep's going to tweak the system slightly. He is a football fanatic, and he is also a genius, and he's a perfectionist. He will want his team to be playing at the highest level with the most optimal level of football. And last year, they didn't do that. There were a lot of times where, especially going forward, it would have been in their best interest to be a bit more ruthless. So I'm very much expecting of the fact that he's gone away in the summer and he's tweaked the system somewhat to make them a little bit more ruthless in front of goal. And I wouldn't be surprised if these two, Haaland and Pep, will have been having conversations about how to get him more goals because he can score more goals. We saw more of it in his first season here when the shackles were off a little bit more. He was getting fed a little bit more in behind. And I think if Pep diverts to a system which facilitates that and a philosophy which facilitates that, because he is the great iterator of the game, right? It's why he's been able to sustain himself at the top for so long. Then I think we could see this guy score a lot of goals. And I think he could break his own record, honestly. The other thing to have in mind is who's the next best option? Because, yeah, sure, we can go Ollie Watkins. And I think Ollie Watkins is going to do very well. Decent fixture run. Villa have strengthened and he looked good in the Euros. He just seems on a bit of a high. Villa seem on a bit of a high. And it would only make sense that his success is replicated and potentially improved on, right? But he's not Erling Haaland and he does not possess the same ceiling. And that's my main thing with Watkins. I don't think I can rely on him to hit the highest numbers consistently, whereas I can with Erling Haaland, right? But apart from that, sure, I really like Kai Havertz at 8 million, and I like some of the other strikers as well, but they just don't provide me the safety net, they don't provide me the ceiling, they don't provide me the floor, and they don't provide me, most importantly, the captaincy option. In Game Week 2, if you don't start with Haaland in Game Week 1, let's be honest, you're not getting there in Game Week 2, unless you're going to do some major surgery. And therefore, with Ipswich, that is a big loss, and you could already start a lot of points behind the 8 ball. So for me, he's a lock. We'll go on to the Newcastle double up. And for me, this is the easiest selection. Isak was actually the first name in my team ahead of Haaland, right? The fixtures are brilliant. He's in brilliant form coming off the end of last season. He's also had a rest. Anthony Gordon's pretty much had a rest considering he didn't play at the Euros at all. So with that in mind, with the good fixtures, with the good price points, again, it makes a lot of sense to have two people who are going to be part of the template, who are very good for minutes, who have high ceilings. And if Newcastle score, a lot of it is going to go through them, right? We saw it at the back end of last season, how popular they were, and for good reason. So for me, again, locks. And I'm really happy with this team. Overall, as it stands, I'm really happy with this team. Okay, let's move on to the midfield. Now, I could have gone away from Salah and spread the funds a little bit and had a really strong midfield. But that Liverpool fixture run is so good. And I just don't want to miss out on it. He's a captaincy option for Game Week 1 where Haaland really isn't. And again, he provides me a ceiling that no other midfielder can provide me. And the way I like to play the game is to maximize the upside. And this team does that. I have a defender at the back with high upside. I have a midfield who will come on to Szoboszlai. But apart from him, I have a midfield who takes penalties, high expected minutes, great ceilings, and same with the forward line. So in that sense, I really like it. And I want all my players to kind of fit that trend. And Salah definitely does do that. He's the king of FPL for a reason. So with that in mind, look, there's so many reasons why to pick him, right? And we will go into Arne Slot's system in a specific video down the line. But things are looking good for him. I think on the right side, if we can get that balance of Trent, Harvey Elliott, and Salah going again, potentially if he's going to go 4-3-3, but if he does go 4-2-3-1, then obviously Szoboszlai could thrive, and hence why he's selected. So one thing about Arne Slot's system, and we're not going to get into it too much because it deserves its own video alongside some others, is that he has in the past relied on having a very, very good number 10 and using that number 10 as a real creative force, as a source of goals, almost as like an old school number 10. Now, Szoboszlai is a pure 10. He isn't so much an 8, and if he is going to play as an 8, he's probably going to play on that left side. However, Liverpool have been using him on the right. I think his body is just a bit more suited to playing on the left side, just with the way he moves, right? So with that in mind, if he is to play at 10 and his best position, we've seen what he can do for both club and country in the Bundesliga, and as I mentioned, for his country. At 6.5, that's a really, really good price for a player with a high ceiling. He has fantastic ball striking, and that is something in FPL that will always come in handy. Because yes, we can have players that get into positions, Nunes, a player I really like. But with Szoboszlai, I know I can get a goal out of anywhere. And if you're going to put him in the position to shoot consistently, to be in close proximity to goal, well, then his assists are also going to go up as well. And at 6.5, I really, really like him. To be honest, he should be on penalties as well, either him or McAllister. Salah's not going to let them go. But, if that happens, then I think he'll be in there in the pecking order. Gibbs White's a similar-ish prospect to Szoboszlai in the sense that I'm getting brilliant expected minutes, which I'm not sure with Szoboszlai, so that's the difference. But I'm getting a guy who takes penalties, who is the number 10, who could be integral to their side in a 4-2-3-1. And that's what Szoboszlai could become. I'm a big fan of Gibbs White. I like his box crashing. I like his driving runs. I like his technical ability. I like a lot of things about him. And in terms of FPL, he really does fit the mold, right? I mean, he ticks all the prospects that we sort of need for a good FPL candidate. And with that in mind, I don't really see to go elsewhere. As I mentioned with Sells, good fixture. Why would I go elsewhere? Right, now let's move on to Nkunku, the last man to complete the starting 11. It's very dependent on how Enzo uses him, right? Does he use him as a almost false left winger in a very fluid system where he comes inside at times? Sometimes he holds the width, sometimes the left back overlaps, sometimes the left back underlaps, and he has a lot of combinations with him. Or does he use him in a similar way to how Poch designed the system to be with him, whereby him and Jackson almost play off each other? And if he is to be in that number 10, second striker role, false 9 role, he is going to thrive. And as a midfielder, someone who should most definitely be classified as a forward, he is underpriced and also out of position. So with that in mind, and his quality, and that's the big thing, because when you get players of quality, it doesn't always matter to a huge extent where they're playing, because they can make something happen. He would definitely be one that is a wait and see, and he's probably out of the starting 11 the most likely to leave the team out at the moment. What I would say is let's see it preseason, let's see what happens. Again, I'm going to take a deep dive into Enzo's system, explain everything about how he could play, like I did last year with Pochettino on Twitter, and then we can take things from there. So he's the most likely to be on the chopping block, but if he's nailed with his quality, he's undeniably a top asset. Right, now moving on to the bench, I've just filled the 4.5 slot for now. I'm not exactly sure if any of them are going to play, so I simply picked the one from Ipswich because I'm not really going to be having any Ipswich players, so he doesn't block anyone. Okay, Harwood Bellis had a very good season at Southampton. Good upside at 4 million with the amount of assists he got. And if he's got some attacking threat, then why not, right? Maybe on the off chance that I have to play him in a good fixture, at least there's a high ceiling there. Robinson, we've discussed. And Travers got some minutes at the end of last season. Neto's looked a bit erratic at times, and I don't really like that in a goalkeeper. So that's something to potentially keep an eye on. We could have a starting 4 million goalkeeper there. And that pretty much wraps up the team. Overall, I really, really like it. I am super happy with it as of now. I imagine naturally it would change, but for now, looking really solid. Now, before I leave you, two things. Firstly, as you will see on the screen, there is my co-star. Some of you will have seen the advert I filmed with him for Fantasy Football Hub last season. We currently have 50% off, and if you would like to get your team rated, then you can do so. Just click on the link in the description. You'll get 50% off, money back if you don't win your mini league, and naturally you can get a rating for free anyway. I would strongly advise you to at least consider the offer. I mean, it's so cheap, if we're being honest, in this day and age, for the value you're getting. You're getting team reveals from the world champion. You're getting team reveals from Ben Crellin, one of the greats of FPL. You're getting tools such as fixture tickers, customized fixture tickers, customized statistics tables, and so much more. and obviously the AI. So I would really consider it. It's very cheap. And like I said, the link's in the description and you can get 50% off with that specific link. If you're still here, thank you very much. And we are going to be producing a YouTube video every single day now for the rest of pre-season. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've literally got 30 video ideas penciled in. And I can't wait. I can't wait to get started. If you could subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. If you could consider subscribing, it really helps the channel. And naturally, like I said, I'm going to be producing content every single week. My threads have done really well on Twitter, where I go into deep dive analysis as we approach 50,000 followers. And that's the type of content you can be expecting here. This is just the first video. I already discussed in the intro the teething problems of the lights and the green screen. That's gone from tomorrow. As I told you, the lights are behind me. The boom arm's behind me. So we're going to get all of that sorted. And moving on from there, I'll be taking some deep dives into content you haven't really seen before on FPL YouTube. So yeah, if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. Like the video, and I will see you very, very soon. In fact, I will see you tomorrow for another video, which will be a really, really interesting one. Nice deep dive. So yeah, you can expect some tactical analysis and a lot of tactical. Have a fantastic day, and I shall see you very soon.